Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The Goat, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning to all our loyal listeners, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. I'm your host, Honest Abe, along with my trusted gang, as always, the Italian scallion himself, Paul DeGracco, and the man known as the GOAT, Alex Tavella. We are broadcasting live from hot and sunny South Florida. This is episode number 471. Woo. Coming up that 500.
I was just going to say that, man, 500 is coming up quick.
What are we going to do?
You know, I noticed Dojo. I did a Dojo show, which, by the way, is probably the worst show for a retailer to do.
Oh, yeah. That particular show, yeah.
Really, really bad show for a retailer to do.
Why? Because of the buy or sell?
Yeah. Buy, sell, and hold. Yeah,
I saw, yeah.
The hold used to be a great cop-out tool, but they limit you to 3 for 20 companies.
Oh,
and you have no idea. You have no idea what the companies are, so you know you're afraid to burn a hold, and then you get a whammy later. So I used to watch that show. I've been on that episode before. They said no, but I'm 99% sure I have.
No, I don't think so. You did. No, we did a little version.
We did a version, but I'm telling you, I know I'd done it with them before. I almost bet a signed $1 bill on it. And I believe it was during COVID because I remember being in the pool when I was doing it. So
yes, I saw that episode. I think you're right.
I think I did it.
Yeah, because you were sitting in the hot tub.
Yeah.
I remember it specifically because I remember I was scrolling through Facebook and I just see like you from here up with no shirt on with the blue tiles in your pool behind you. I was like, what the hell am I looking at? And I saw it was Dojo and I watched it. So you might be right, actually. Or maybe they did like a mini version of it. They didn't do 20 companies.
But what I told them they really should do that would make it a lot more fun is keep track. And then when they do this like twice a year or maybe once a year, but then when they get the next group on, review all the predictions from the guys
the year before
prior show. Yeah. But you know, that would be a William Cooper length show then, because and it's really funny because during the break, it's like, listen, we don't want to go long, you know, don't get too in depth. And we were really quick with our answers, and it still took us over 2 hours to just buy, sell, or hold 20 companies.
It puts everybody in like a weird situation too, because
they don't really care, but
but they're like, oh, I love this guy so much, and I love the product, but I gotta sell.
For me, it's kind of easy because if I didn't really buy it for our retail shops, then how can I say
that's
buy?
An easy sell, right?
Right. I mean,
true.
If I didn't buy it, then if I didn't really buy it, and it's really funny because I was, ripping on them a little bit. I'm the only one who actually really buys or sells.
I was going to say, as a retailer, you're the one that's actually who's buy, sell, and holds are real.
That's true.
So very, very interesting show last night with the boys from Dojo. Kept me up a little bit late.
You just decided to make a switch to the
this is the lobby of the Boardwalk Hotel, the Boardwalk Resort, and somebody said live from Disney. I said, you know what? I want to be live from Disney.
Did we not go over banter last night? Did he just not type it in?
We did. Alex didn't print new ones.
No, timeout. I printed it at 9:30 this morning. So if you made some changes,
here's what you don't do though. For some reason your computer doesn't live update. You have to refresh the page. I'm telling you, I'm looking at it right now. Back to school for the kids in August. All your kids are all back to school, right?
Yeah, somebody asked me if I
see it now.
Somebody asked me if I take back to school. First day of school pictures. Did you take first day of school pictures, Paul?
Are you fucking kidding? Of course we did.
We used to. I think that's just
because I've seen pictures that you posted.
Did when they were young. Like my oldest is in high school. My other one's like 8th grade.
Petra's not taking a back to school.
Yeah, picture. I mean, we stopped doing it.
It is kind of funny, right, Kevin? Paul telling Alex how you should prepare for the show. It's funny. I was.
I still think it was done in the last 10 minutes.
I was listening. No, I swear to God, it's.
Bro, I just pulled it up now and it was there. It had to be.
I'm telling you, you have to refresh it.
I didn't have to refresh it. Now it's there. You just did it.
I did not.
Yeah.
I don't know how to prove that I didn't. Actually, yes, I can prove it. There's a data link for when things were updated in there.
I'm looking for it now.
I'm the admin if you're not. But I was thinking, Abe, I was listening to us via podcast the other day on iTunes, and we were talking about the comments, and sometimes we don't read the comments. So the people that listen to us on audio only don't hear us. So I want to make it a point to I'll read the comments when we post them.
Oh, that's going to be, you can't do that.
Well, we'll just say it. No,
I mean, not for everyone. I mean, if we're going to discuss it, but sometimes we put a comment up that doesn't warrant a discussion in the middle of a conversation.
Oh, well, I mean, but when we talk about it, that's what I meant. Like if we're talking about a comment,
if we talk about a comment, but yeah, otherwise you're not going to stop and read every comment. Are you nuts? I mean, you're not going to try to read every comment you put.
Not every. No. I mean, like if we get into a discussion about a comment, like we're going to comment on it, we should probably give a little synopsis of it. Like, Kevin says blah blah blah.
Did anybody reach out to you, or did you just think about this on your own?
No, I just thought about it on my own because I was going through. We've had some technical issues with the audio side of the podcast as far as music things. So I was just randomly listening to us on iTunes the other day, and then tried on Spotify and all that fun stuff just to make sure things were working.
Well, they're bringing up episodes from 8 years ago when we were using Buffalo Soldier as an intro
so
song.
Ridiculous.
It is
and then they're also catching the Name That Jam, it seems like.
Oh, just Spotify.
Well, Facebook too.
Really?
We had or was that the intro, Alex? We had an issue with Facebook last week or 2 weeks ago.
One time, I think it was a mistake because the intro
I
is
agree,
not copyrighted material.
Right. Oh,
Right.
So annoying. Can we just have a Michelle Pauser? Paul, you're so responsible. Yes, I am. You take back to school pictures, right, Alex?
No.
You don't take a picture of Carmine before you go. What's he in? First grade?
Yeah, I mean, you get. I feel like you get kindergarten, and then that's it. You get your first day, your real first day, and then that's it.
I mean, I don't take him. Stephanie does a whole elaborate setup since Axel started preschool. This is his second year. I guess he did a preschool program. Now he does real VPK, and both years she set up his little Toy Story toys in the doorway to watch him leave.
Shocking.
I mean, I didn't do it.
Shocking.
I was told this morning I don't do anything, so I have a lot of comments, but I don't do much.
It's not only us that tell it to you; it's your wife
It's
at
a
home.
recurring theme we see.
Anyway, would you like me to go to the next topic? Because Alex and I were talking about this yesterday during the meeting. The FDA is looking to move forward on banning the word milk from almond milk and soy milk.
You seem to be in high agreement with this, Paul.
You know what? Lewis Black did this a stand-up special. I think his first HBO stand-up special, and he talked about how it's not almond milk, it's almond juice. And I think his direct line was, "There's no almond titty, so how can there be milk?" So I agree. We buy it. It doesn't really bother me one way or the other.
You were very
really
adamant.
milk.
I mean, you jumped yesterday. Oh, absolutely.
So the question is,
it's not milk.
Is it because people are actually thinking it's some form of milk? Is that what they're trying to? Because
there are some stupid people.
If they add very smallly under the word milk substitute, then it's not a problem.
So, but here's the problem.
Well, it's really stupid.
If we take this to your logical conclusion,
wait,
butter's gone from peanut butter. What is it? But the peanut butter is not butter. That's not butter. So I can't call it peanut butter.
I mean, I don't disagree with that argument either.
There's no ham in a hamburger, so ham gone. See you later. I mean, where does it end?
This could be your most brilliant moment, Alex Tavella.
Where does it end?
It's true. It is insanity a little bit.
I mean, I guess they feel it's misleading that it's a dairy product.
But is it though?
I don't know.
But is it misleading? I mean, are you happy with your tax dollars being used on these kind of fights?
No, listen. Survival of the fittest. If these people can't figure out that it's not milk, it's really not my problem. But I think it's a true fact. It's a true statement. It is not milk. They don't call Lactaid milk. It's a milk substitute. Lactose-free milk substitute. That's more milk than almond milk.
It just sounds
Anyways.
like big milk dollars, coming into.
You're right. It's probably some lobbyist, right, from the dairy.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
turning in on our turf.
Of course. But the macro point is that while the FDA tortures us in the cigar industry, we're not the only ones. They also waste other people's time, like the poor
Right.
guy, trying to sell a carton of almond stuff, almond juice.
Almond juice.
Right. This is what our tax dollars are going towards.
Oh, there you go. Almond breastless paste. We can all
There you
agree on that.
There you go.
Thank you, Greg Kelly. That is expensive. Almond breastless paste.
Oh man.
Anyway,
This isn't on the log, but did you guys watch the last episode of Better Call Saul?
that episode was like a long time ago. You just got
Oh,
around
it was
to
this past weekend, wasn't it?
Was it this past weekend?
Yeah, this past Sunday was the final episode.
Was it this
Series
past
Never
Sunday?
watched
Okay.
Better Call Saul.
You don't?
Unless you bought it, you
Never
you
have.
were able to buy the last episode on like streaming.
Did you watch Breaking Bad at all?
Yeah, watch the
See,
whole thing.
I'm
Love
I
it.
asking
remember
Alex.
I watched an extremely small amount of TV. Extremely small amount. I hardly watch any TV. I mean, I'm currently in the middle of The Offer, which is probably the first TV I've watched outside of documentary or YouTube chess videos in months. I don't watch a lot of TV. So
Are you against it?
no, I just don't
You got
watch
something
it. I get
against
home, I
TV?
get late, I do stuff. I just don't watch TV. I'm more of a documentary guy anyway, but
I love
The
documentaries
Offer,
too.
I'm digging. The Offer is a great theory. That was an Abe recommendation.
I knew you would. I might be a bigger fan of Better Call Saul than Breaking Bad.
Really, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, man, I really do. Even Bob said he can't believe he's never going to play Saul Goodman again. I think Saul Goodman was one of the best characters of both, the whole series. But you mentioned it. I thought it was a brilliant ending to a brilliant show. Listen, up until this point, one of the most justified endings in TV series career. I mean, because there's always been a lot of letdown endings, right?
Yep.
I thought one of the better ones I ever seen was The Shield. If you haven't watched The Shield, it was
That I watched.
breakthrough television back in
Yeah.
the day on the FX channel before like there was a lot of nitty gritty on TV. But that ending was the only way it could have really went down. And it was sad, but it was right and it was good. And I think they did this just as good as a job with Better Call Saul. Yeah, this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, you might want to tune out. But it was a great ending. Great to a great series. Did you notice how they did you know? No, wasn't a big fan of it.
I didn't
Me
love
neither,
it.
but
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. But I liked it
didn't
better
hate it.
than
I
Better Call
didn't
Saul.
hate it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't walk away feeling cleansed and cathartic. So I didn't love it, didn't hate it. But did you notice the reverse use of the color in black and white?
Oh yeah,
At
it
the end,
got to be a lot in the last couple of episodes. man.
I'm telling you, that was brilliantly done show. Very well.
It's an easy way without them telling you directly that this is a different time period. So
Yes.
I didn't hate it. I'll tell you what. One thing we can all probably agree on is that Kim Wexler looks terrible as a brunette. I don't
Dude,
know.
I didn't know it was her for the first
Yeah.
few minutes. Didn't look like her at all because she was like semi-hot
Yeah.
as a blonde.
My buddy and I were talking about
Not
it.
like super hot, not ugly. She was kind of semi-hot as a blonde. But when she went brunette, whoa,
All went away.
All
Went away.
all went away.
Hopefully it's a wig for her sake.
Sons of Anarchy was a big letdown too because that's never happening. That guy goes to Mexico.
Never
I
got
don't
into
care.
that either.
You live that lifestyle. You ain't doing that. You're going to Mexico.
I didn't watch that either. I guess
Oh,
I don't
I
watch a
didn't
lot of
watch it.
TV. But documentary is still TV. Like I didn't know if you were one of those guys, Alex, that are like television rots your brain. I've learned almost everything I know from television. I mean, maybe documentary more, but from watching the TV, the actual physical TV. Yeah.
Now, what
I've
I
learned a lot.
couldn't remember was the scenes with Cranston and the other kid
And Mike.
Mike. were they were those all cut from Breaking Bad, or did
No.
they? So they came back to make those parts.
I think so. Yes.
I couldn't remember. It's been so long since I watched Breaking Bad, but
Or maybe they filmed them. Maybe they knew what the series finale would. I doubt it though, because
no. Either that those were real cuts from the original series, or they came back to film those scenes.
No, yeah, I don't remember those scenes at all.
I gotta Google that because I'd be very impressed if they did. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, very rarely in television do they know when the end of the series is going to be.
Yep, epic
or what's going to happen.
Epic cast to Better Call Saul.
I love Bob Odenkirk, but I've loved Bob Odenkirk since. Do you remember Mr. Show with Bob and David on HBO?
No,
that was like a breakthrough show, man. Hilarious.
Did you watch Mr. Nobody?
I didn't.
He was actually good in that. You almost can't see him being a ex-CIA, cleaner upper killer after seeing him play Saul Goodman for 5 years. Right? I mean, it's like when I saw him cast, I'm like, what? He did a good job. He's really good. And Giancarlo, the guy who plays Fring.
Oh my God, he's awesome.
They're all good. Mike, yeah. I'm telling you, amazing cast. Both series, really amazing cast.
But now, are they going to do? So what I wonder is, would they go back and do like a prequel to like Mike's story? Wouldn't that be cool to see something like that?
You could only hope so, but the problem is if you do a prequel to Mike's story, it probably wouldn't involve anybody else. The nice thing about Better Call Saul is the prequel included
a lot of these guys,
a lot of people from the original show.
Yeah,
that was the nice part, but very well done. I was very happy with it. When you walk away and you say, "I'm all right," there's going to be no more shows. They've done a good job.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I thought it was like blah. Like there was nothing exciting about it. I thought the last 3 episodes were
what you want him to get away with it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's so unrealistic. That's the problem.
But he could have gotten away with it.
You're too Disney.
Maybe I'm just angry at the character because I knew he could have gotten away with it.
Washed in your brain. There's not happy endings like that, bro. He's got to get caught. Vince Mackey's life has to be ruined. You can't live that kind of life with no repercussion. Karma catches up with you.
It's entertainment, though. It's the fake world. It's not real. So, yeah, you could.
No, that kind of television's supposed to depict a real world situation. It's not Disney, Paul. You're watching too much Disney. Shows like this are supposed to depict what's going on in a real world.
I watch TV to escape real life. I don't need real life portrayed in front of me all day.
That's why you watch Disney. Great ending.
That is true. That's why I go to Disney World. So I don't.
If anybody out there watched Better Call Saul, just put in the comments whether you like the season finale.
Yeah, we'll see what the overwhelming majority is. I'm sure I'm a minority in it. It is what it is.
You typically are.
Yeah, usually. But
all right.
I still love the series as a whole, though.
Listen, I'm telling you, I would recommend people who haven't watched either to watch Better Call Saul before watching Breaking Bad.
Well, I guess in theory that could. Well, no, you need to watch Breaking Bad first so you can really
You do not.
I don't know.
You do not.
There's a lot of callbacks to the stuff that you see,
which is not really necessary to know the background. It's self-explained in the moment of the scene. It helps. It gives you some insight, but it's definitely not necessary.
Would you say somebody should watch Better Call Saul and then watch Breaking Bad?
If you're going to do both, no, I would watch them in the order they came out.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because I think it makes Better Call Saul literally more enjoyable knowing his future before it happens.
Right. That's what I liked about. Yes.
Okay. So it makes it more enjoyable. I just said it's not necessary though, but knowing it makes it, I think, more enjoyable because you know where it ended up and then you're watching it. Oh, the Woodman came out of the woodwork. Well, AMC is losing 2 big shows. So, they're spinning off 2 series now starting in 2023 with Bob. And
yeah, Bob's in another series, right?
And Fringe. I can't remember his name, Giancarlo or something like that. But they need series because their 2 best shows, The Walking Dead and, Better Call Saul is done. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I thought The Walking Dead had already ended. They brought it back again?
No, I think this is the end of something this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never watched that show.
You know what? The whole zombie genre does nothing for me. I mean, people are all caught up in it. It has its own culture, whatever. But the whole zombie, never seen one movie I liked about.
Yeah,
zombies.
me neither. And you know what else? It's like penetrated the children's TV world. Like Disney has like a zombie high school show about these zombies that wear a bracelet that keep them from eating brains, and they go to high school. It's the weirdest thing.
I'm telling you.
Axel was like, I want to watch Zombie High. I'm like, no, you're not watching that.
That's funny.
And it's animated and they're all zombies. It's very weird. And they live in like a segregated area in the town that's just for zombies.
Is it really weirder than some of these kids shows though? Well, Yo Gabba Gabba. How weird was that?
Yeah. Luckily, my kids are too young for that.
I mean, Yo Gabba Gabba had to be. I mean, that was like, you need to be an adult tripping watching it.
What about those
Teletubbies?
Yes. Fucking odd.
You must have never. You never must have watched Yo Gabba Gabba.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
I missed it. It was literally like this hippie dude in an orange spandex suit with these
big, giant, weird, elongated characters.
It was just scary. A weird show. And then they would get famous people integrated in it. Like Jack Black would be a guest on it and whatever. It had a huge span for a while.
We like that other Street here and Bluey
too. You ever see who? Blippy?
We like Sesame Street and Bluey.
You ever seen Blippy?
Oh my god, I hate Blippy. My kids love him.
Blippy was like this weird, awful,
almost new Pee Wee Herman.
But yeah, it was awful.
He sold to Amazon for like $30 million or something ridiculous like that from doing these stupid videos for his nephew on YouTube. He wears like an orange hat, orange suspenders, and he goes, "Ooh!" Yeah, that's his whole bit.
I had a short-lived moment with Blippy, and luckily Carmine moved on.
Yeah, we don't watch it a lot. They like it, but we turn them to other things. But yeah, kids TV is rough. Do you like Alex at this age? Oh, but you have a younger son now too. Like the problem is like at all times there's kids TV on in my house. Like I don't get to watch. Like I like to wake up.
Oh no, we limit
There's
TV.
No news.
I don't limit TV.
No, we limit TV.
Oh, we do. Well, no, we don't because it's just on in the background. In all honesty, like they don't sit and watch TV until like right before bed. We usually watch for like 20 minutes, half hour.
No, the baby watches this Miss Rachel lady, like Songs for Littles or such a YouTube thing that he's totally entranced with.
Okay,
but it is. I mean, apparently it's extremely popular, but it's like awful. Like she'll do stuff behind a green screen, and there won't even be a background. She'll just be standing behind
in front of green. Oh,
in front of green. But like go look up. They got millions of views. But he loves it. Gets in trouble. We call it his real family. He doesn't. I don't care about it. Rachel's his real mom. No, Carmine is just. He's just WWE like to the core. Like
oh yeah,
like to the core, nonstop. But it's funny because he doesn't just watch it. He'll put it on. And then take his. I have like a 4-foot pillow I bought him because I'm not wrestling every damn day and night. So he's in action while watching.
Now, are you into the WWE or did you discover this on his own?
No, I'm not really into it. I mean, as a kid, I couldn't tell you who's who. Now he kind of discovered it on his own. We bought a video Switch game, WWE that he liked, and but it's like. It's funny because the game he played a little bit during Christmas and kind of sat there, and this whole new now it's like a staple. He's WWE'd out.
All right, I don't think we need to dig any more into the dark depth of children's television.
Right.
We have a first-time guest on KMA Radio. Always love when we have a first-time guest. Let's get ready for our Meet Your Maker segment.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
It's time to meet your maker.
And let me put him in the prime spot next to Abe.
In the big seat.
In the big seat. Oliver.
Prime spot.
How do you say your last name?
Like the famous 80s band is Nivaud, Club Nivaud.
Oh, there you go. I'm glad I asked you.
And spelled completely different.
Yeah, I would have never said it that way.
No,
Yeah, and Abe's
Bush
met you
over years.
before, right? None
Oh,
of us
yeah.
have had to
Yeah,
say your name.
absolutely. I've sat in the office.
I'm pretty sure I've heard other people say his name not that way.
Right. Well, I would assume they pronounce the D.
Yep. Nivaud.
Always pronounce the D.
What is the genesis of that name? What's the heritage?
So my family's actually from France. I was first generation I was actually born in Boston. So my younger brother and I were born in the States, but everyone else was overseas. And still to this day, I got my parents in the U.S., my older brother, younger brother in the U.S., but everyone else is overseas. In France.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So you can attack me on that part as much as you want.
Well, it probably means you have a good palate. You come from one of the best wine producing countries in the world.
We come from France.
If anybody doesn't know, Paul's wife is a level 2 sommelier.
Yes.
I don't know if it expires actually.
I've never heard that. It's got to expire.
You know what? Level 1 does. I
check
think
that.
level 2 you have for level 2, 3, and master you have for life. Actually, she's explained it to me. Why she justified the price of the level 2 somehow, but it doesn't just go away.
Interesting.
And
But,
can I say that lactate is not a safe alternative to milk? Can we talk about
Oh yeah,
that?
how so?
Right. But it's not. I mean, I agree with the whole. It's definitely the dairy farmers and everybody going after the whole milk side, but yeah, it's got to be called something different. But I think if we start there, it's just going to go down a very slippery slope, like it is with everything else.
Is it just semantics? Like, is it just like it's just a known thing? It's right. Okay. Then I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. You're right. It's a slippery slope. And then what's next?
You weren't fine with it yesterday.
I just got into the Lewis Black mode. I love his anger and his energy, and he was so angry about it. I just remember that bit so vividly.
Well,
It should be because we grew up on milk. That's all we did. Like we were fed milk. We were just.
I drank it by the gallons.
Yeah,
I still do.
By the gallons growing up.
Do you still drink milk, Abe?
I've become slightly lactose intolerant in my
That's
life.
normal as you get older. Yeah.
Not that I can't have it. I can have it, and I can have it, but doesn't agree with me.
Settle
100%.
right.
Yes. Yeah.
We very rarely drink milk, and my kids are in a zone now where they won't drink plain milk.
Well, we don't
So they
have
get
milk in
chocolate
the
milk.
house because all my kids, when they were born, were allergic. So we had soy milk, we've had hemp milk, because at one point, my middle daughter was allergic to soy, and then they couldn't have nuts. And they realized they weren't allergic to almonds, so they pretty much live on almond milk now. There's just always almond milk in our house.
Yeah, here too. We have almond milk and whole milk, which the kids won't drink unless we put chocolate syrup in it. So
What do you have the whole milk for then if the kids don't drink it?
They drink it with chocolate syrup. So at night when they have their milk, they get a little bit of chocolate syrup.
Is that in order to make sure they drink whole milk?
Eli's supposed to still drink a certain amount of milk a day, according to his doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, see that I don't buy into that shit.
But he just likes it. He likes chocolate milk, so we give him, I give him like 6 ounces in his little sippy cup.
Carmine never drank milk.
Never?
No.
Huh.
We're the only species on the planet that drinks another species' milk.
I don't disagree with that. Were the kids breastfed or no?
No, for the most part, no.
See, this got them off the boob.
I get
So
that.
Listen, we needed that.
See, another reason to blame milk.
Listen, you're going to get a letter from the FDA now, Oliver. The milk producers of America are coming after you.
Right. I still drink milk. It's not like it used to. My cholesterol went through the roof when my kids were. So we were talking about it pre-show. My son's 17, my daughter's 16. When they were young, we had whole milk in the house, but I was still drinking milk as if it was the 2%. So
Right.
my cholesterol went right through the roof.
Oh, it's so much better though when you have whole milk after not having it for so long, and you just take that one sip of whole.
Yeah, at first, like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, yes, so hot.
Is
Milk was a bad
milk
choice.
supposed to be bad?
I don't know what
I hear
tastes
it all
better.
the time. I hear it all the time. People against milk.
I don't know that it's good.
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyways,
Coop will know. When we bring him on, we'll ask him.
I'm sure
He's
Coop
got
will have
the
an
scoop.
unpopular opinion. Anyways,
Yeah.
Um, Oliver, first time on our show. Listeners
Yes, sir.
may not know you. Give us a little bit, abridged version of the life of Oliver Nivaud and how you got where we are today.
Yeah. So I guess to shorten it up, starting out in the cigar industry, I was actually, as I said, I was born in Boston, went to school here, finished up at Boston College in '96. I was working for an advertising agency here in Boston. In '97, I moved out to Las Vegas, and it was so inexpensive out there. I moved out with two buddies. We rented a house, a 3-bedroom house, for $900. So to put that into comparison here to what Boston real estate was, I was renting a studio in the North End for, I think it was like $1,200. So we were living high on the hog in Vegas. And so I was just doing freelance graphics. I was doing tray liners for Carl's Jr., brochures for a local radio station, redesigning some logos and, business cards, just small stuff, but, just having fun. And I wanted, ultimately, I wanted a discount on cigars. So I looked up in the yellow pages at the time. So this dates it back, right? Where I could buy cigars, where I could, work for a cigar company. I ended up working for Fryboy Tobacco, which is known as Cigar Box now. But Fryboy Tobacco, they had a small shop at the MGM. Started working there, and I think within 6 months, I was running one of the locations, and then within the year, they brought me into the office to oversee their marketing, and that turned into their manufacturing. And for 14 years, I worked for Michael and Robert Fry in Las Vegas, and they're part owners of Casa Fuente. We opened up that with Ashton and Fuente, and that was 2004. And then they started getting, once they really saw the liquor side of the business too, I think the Casa Fuente kind of spun off into, they opened up tacos and tequila at the Luxor, which was just a restaurant, no cigars. We opened up Rum Bar at the Mirage, which was more of a fresh drink program there. And so my role there, I was really side by side with Michael, and overseeing a lot of the branding and manufacturing side. We had a couple brands really one brand that we were selling nationally at the time, which was Sweet Daddy's. It was a flavored cigar line. But in 2007, when everything was kind of hitting the fan, he wanted to get out of it. So we kind of, washed out Sweet Daddy's, and I worked for them until 2011, and then moved out.
I never got to know his brother, but I know Michael very well. Super great.
Oh yeah, Robert. Well, Robert. So they kind of and then they have an older brother, Gary, who's more into I think real estate. But Robert kind of split off in, I guess, early 2000s, and he got into Coyote Ugly. Partnering up with some people there. They opened up Coyote Ugly at the New York. And once Coyote Ugly opened up, Robert was like, I'm done with cigars, branched off, opened up, started Pure Management Group. And they branched off from there and opened up Pure Nightclub. They had, I don't even know how many other nightclubs they had from there. So Michael really focused on the cigar side and stayed with it. That was always his passion. But, Michael really got involved with so many different things. They were part of Monte Cristo Rum, a lot of different ventures. But anyway, for me, so I was in charge of the manufacturing side, the marketing, wholesale, and that grew. But I left, and I think with my hospitality background, my father's been in the hotel business since I was young. So I always had, an eye for it. And I jumped into an opportunity, moved out to Utah, opened up a restaurant. Helped a buddy open up a restaurant in Salt Lake City, and that was for a year. And then after that, once it was opened up, myself and the family tried to figure out what we were going to do. We didn't want to stay in Salt Lake City. We went out to California for a little break. That's where my ex's family is from. Stayed there for about 6 months, and then I got a job as the food and beverage director at the Hilton here in Boston. So that brought us back here. So I was out of the cigar business for a little while. I think, after 14 years and the direction we were going to was more hospitality and late night, in Vegas. Got out of it, but 2016, the opportunity came up to work for United Cigars. And when really sat down learning about the different brands, because the portfolio is about 20 different lines deep.
Did you
learning
approach
about the
them,
brand,
or did they approach you?
They approached me, but I had gone up to New Hampshire. So I live in Boston, but when you look at New England, it's such a small portion of the map. So Boston to New Hampshire is a half an hour. So I went up to New Hampshire for an event, and it ended up, with the connections I had, I was actually going up there with Paul Giacalone, who owned Gloucester Street Cigar a little while back, but then he was also part owner of One Off Cigars.
Yeah.
So I had known him from a long time and from Vegas, and we were hanging out, smoking cigars, and we went up to New Hampshire. The conversation started, and when I looked at the portfolio at first, I was like, well, I'm not really familiar with the product. I looked at Atabey and Byron, and coming from Vegas, a guy that was selling cigars for an obscene amount. So, for example, the Macanudo Portofino was selling on a cigarette hostess tray back in the 2000s for $20 a piece. I mean, that's offensive, but we were just selling pallets of them because when you're sitting at a table, you're locked. When you want a cigar, you had a choice of maybe 5 cigars and 2.
Right.
So anyway, when I looked at the Atabey and Byron, I was like, a $20, $30 cigar. I don't know about this. I've never heard of it. But when I sat down and smoked it for the first time, heard the story of Atabey, learned about Nelson Alfonso, the process, I was hooked. And the fact that it hadn't been brought, nationally outside of just the show. Oh yeah, and you're smoking the Bandolero?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't.
I'll help you.
Looks like Serie A.
Alex got it.
That's
Serie T.
This is the Tremendosis. I want to say Series T.
Yeah, Serie T. So that uses a little bit of Nicaraguan Ligero. So on the Serie T, there are 3 different series on that one, on the Bandolero, and Serie T uses a little bit of Nicaraguan Ligero, so you can have a little bit more pepperiness, spice up front. But yeah, so I smoked it, smoked the Atabey, and then I smoked the rest of the line. I thought everything was, was good, and there was the opportunity to take a company from really its infancy that had been around since 2009-10 is when United Cigar Group started. But it was a different format back then. 2016 was when I kind of changed stuff and just went in and kind of put my own touch on everything.
So did you move to New Hampshire for the cheaper cost of living?
No. I wish. My kids were already embedded in the school program, and didn't want to move them. I think personally, because I was born in Boston. We moved to Chicago for 2 years. Then we moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't remember. That was in. I was in.
Was it in the city proper?
No, it was outside. I'll remember. It'll come back.
No worries.
The brain doesn't work the same way.
No worries.
But we were in Chicago for 2 years, then Milwaukee. We went to London for 2 years. We were in France for 6 months, and we came back to Milwaukee, and that's where I did my middle school years until 8th grade. Then we went to New York City for a year. Then we came back to Boston. So, for me, being ripped out of these, I don't want to say ripped out. That's a Oprah Winfrey.
Well, Boston was always like kind of you started to settle there, so you wanted your kids to have that.
I just wanted them to have that what I consider that structure, right? The friends that they'll grow up with, the same school system.
That's fine. It's a quick drive to go pick up your booze and cigars in New Hampshire, like all my buddies do outside of Boston.
Yeah, which we did. I went when like I said, when I was at BC, we used to grab, do a Sunday run because it was illegal to sell alcohol on Sundays in Massachusetts. So we made the run all the time.
I have buddies that live just outside of Worcester, and they do a trip like once a month to buy all their booze, and they get cigars, and they go to New Hampshire, they buy it cheaper, and then they have it for the the month.
Right. So isn't that crazy? Like the states will do that, right? They'll raise taxes. Like the tobacco tax in Massachusetts is 40. When you look at New York, tobacco tax being 75, then everybody just drives over the border. They go to Pennsylvania. They'll pick up cigars there. So it's not up in the state.
I learned walking the halls of Washington that for most of these guys, it's not about revenue. It's about punishment.
I could see that.
Oh, absolutely. They're not trying to find ways to generate revenue properly. They want to kill that business in their state. That is their goal. They are draconian taxes typically. I mean, look, let's just take Canada, for example, right? God knows how many boxes get smuggled, bought in across the border, shipped. Never. If Canada really was worried about revenue, all they would have to make is just a reasonable taxation on cigars coming in. And I'm telling you, they would probably make more revenue than they could have ever imagined. But it's not what they want.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I spent the summer up on Long Island, and Alex and I were talking. I'm like, like the Sin Compromiso when we buy it here is like what, $13 to $15 depending on whatever. I told him around there, right? And I was on Long Island, and I felt like a sin, and I ran out of cigars, and I went to the place by my parents' house, and it was $23 or $24 for the same. So I'm like, my God, this is crazy.
What sadly they don't realize, due to any lack of any common sense, is that their taxation never slows down the.
No, I still bought them. And other cigars that
it doesn't slow down the consumption. The guys who just aren't willing to pay the tax will get it from somewhere else, and they don't make no money on it.
Right.
So they don't accomplish either thing. They're not doing justice for their state by generating revenue in a decent manner and getting as much tax dollars as possible, nor are they deterring the consumption of cigars in their state. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not necessarily solving problems.
You found yourself back in Boston, and you started to work with the United Cigar Group. Had you been a smoker of cigars throughout this time? Like when did you first start smoking?
Oh yeah, I started smoking when I was 16. I think everyone starts experimenting, right? I had friends that were smoking cigarettes a lot. Copenhagen was a big thing back then. Guys were just smoking or using some tobacco alternative, and I never got into it. My first job, I was a dishwasher at a restaurant right across the street from where I lived. There was like a little inn. And I was a dishwasher. And after the dishwashers were done, everyone goes out on the dock, and the cooks are there, the servers are there, everyone's smoking cigarettes. So yeah. I tried it. I just wasn't into it. My father was a cigar smoker. My uncles, I had a lot of cigar smoking in the family. So my first cigar was actually a stolen cigar out of my dad's humidor. And then from there, I kept smoking. So that was, 16. I was 88, 89. And then always just smoked my first premium cigar box. I remember when I actually going back a little bit, I bought a box at Walgreens. I had a fake ID from when I lived in New York. And I just to say I was 18 so we could go to concerts. And went to Walgreens. I picked up a box of Sweeties. It was a 50 count box. And I brought that onto a school funded ski trip up to Canada. And we were smoking those, and that turned into a mess because you're taking a bunch of 16-year-old mass kids up to Canada on a ski trip. Everybody got hammered. You could go, we were going to bars, and I was introduced to curling up there. I think we sat for 3 or 4 hours watching. It was a curling bar. You could, we were ordering beers and watching curling.
Wow.
And then my first premium box was a box of 10 when I was in college, Te Amos.
Wow. Yeah. That
was 96. Yeah.
Big during the boom.
Yeah.
You know what?
Those were premium.
And oddly enough, mostly in the eastern seaboard, up in the East Coast, it dominated that region for some reason.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar to me. I'm gonna.
In fact, when it was dying off, that's kind of was its last stand where you would still find any or people selling Te Amos up in the Northeast.
Yeah, Te Amos, that's a while back. But yeah, then I actually got into Avo Domain. That was my go-to for a while, early on.
Select Tobaccos, is that a brand that United distributes, or is that part of the United portfolio? I mean, like ownership umbrella.
No, not ownership, but yeah, under the umbrella. But right. We're only distributors. So that started distribution for that started in 2012, and that was again just at the trade show once a year. There was nobody really representing it nationally. But that's just a partnership with Nelson Alfonso of Selected Tobacco, and we are the distributors of Atabey, Byron, and Bandolero for Nelson.
I had the pleasure of speaking to him, really for the first time, at the trade show this year. What an amazing guy! And for our listeners who really don't know much about him, can you give us a little background on Nelson himself?
Yeah, imagine a guy that could be like a Deion Sanders of the football field, right? Showy. I own the field. This is my house. I do this, and this. He's that guy, but strip away the ego. He is incredibly humble. Nelson Alfonso does the packaging for the Cuban brand, so he's a designer by trade. But his family had been in tobacco since the 1800s in Cuba, and when you look at the portfolio selected tobacco with Atabey, Byron, Bandolero, Byron was actually his family's line in 1850, named after the poet Lord Byron, and that was a Cuban line sold in the U.S. And distributed out. They actually lost the name because back then there were thousands of Cuban brands, but as the late 1800s and early 1900s started to come into play, the larger companies started to eat up all of these smaller farms and tobacco growers and rollers. And Byron was one of those brands that got eaten up. So in the late early 1990s, Nelson picked the line back up. It's actually one of the only lines I believe that's registered in Cuba as well, but nationally, globally registered. He picked the line back up, started to play around with the blends. And
when you said he had to pick the line back up, did he had to reacquire it from somebody?
No, it wasn't. It was just kind of out.
It was just abandoned.
It was abandoned. Yeah. So he was able to pick it back up. And when you look at Cuban lines, there are 30 lines now after thousands of brands. So yeah, Nelson was able to pick it back up, reblended it, and that's when you look at the Byron portfolio, you have 3 different centuries. So it dates back to the 1800s. You have the 19th century, which is a line that uses Ecuadorian. All of his lines use Ecuadorian wrapper, just different shades, grades. And so the Byron 19th century uses Nicaraguan, Peruvian, and Dominican fillers, Ecuadorian wrapper, but you have different ages, and that's a key thing that I want to talk about after too with Nelson's line. But so you have the 19th century that's going to have a little more body and strength to it. The 20th century takes out the Nicaraguan, uses Dominican, Peruvian, and then on the 21st century, that's where he uses a Dominican binder, more Dominican Ligero, and the Atabey wrapper. So it's a softer, more subtle line out of the Byron portfolio, but still has a great body. And if we go back to kind of Nelson, like he does all this packaging, a lot of his work is out there, but it's just not recognized as his work because, again, being humble, not putting his name out front. I'd love for you to be able to sit down with him even longer just to pick his brain, because it's amazing the knowledge that he has, the research that he did. He just jumped into it, early in his early 20s, diving back into it because that was the first time he met his grandfather when he was in his 20s. So his grandfather was the great grandson of the original Alfonso, and he had been kind of kicked out of the family in a way because his Nelson's grandmother was more on the communist side and the grandfather wasn't. So then he was pushed out of the family. But during his last years, wanted to meet his grandson, met Nelson, and Nelson said, he was an artist, a painter, photographer. At that time, he said, I'm dropping everything. He said he put his camera into the case, never touched it again to get into the tobacco. And he said, I'm going to finish what my grandfather wanted me to finish and get back into the business.
Wow. So were these untapped brands at that point? I mean, I know they were around, but before United started distributing them, nobody just really knew about them.
Right. Yeah. It, I think, hit the market, in 2009 ish, but that really launched in California. Then there was, there's a distributor out there that took it, but, did what they did. And, it wasn't the direction Nelson wanted to go in. There was a little bit in Texas with a distributor out there. And then what happened was when when it was brought to the East Coast, the sales for it with with Dave was just turning boxes because they fell in love with it here, and Nelson ended up traveling to the East Coast to sit down with Dave and United Cigars to figure out, well, how is this moving on the retail side, and you're selling more than anyone else. Are you discounting it? Are you wholesaling it? And that wasn't the case. It was just embracing a product that he absolutely loved. So then the distribution came into the United portfolio in about 2012. And then when I started in 2016, I kind of wanted to, again, shift the gears on it, because as smokers, we're so excited when we hear the word Cuban or Habano or Cuban,
Right.
Cuban, right? So when it was started, it was all they were talking about was Nelson designed the Behique packaging, which you should get a lot of credit for that, but everyone's saying, oh, it's like a Behique second, which I wanted to get away from that. There was undisclosed this, undisclosed that, and I always thought that the wrapper is incredibly beautiful. The tobacco is very elegant. Let's talk about that. Let's embrace that. So a lot of the tobacco that Nelson uses is Peruvian tobacco. He believes that Peruvian tobacco is one of the, next to Cuban tobacco, is one of the best tobaccos in the world. It's a smaller plant. The yield's very low, so cost is a little bit higher. But when it's used correctly, it's almost second to none.
A lot of buzz about Peruvian tobacco lately. I'm hearing it lately more than ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're hearing more about Peruvian tobacco and more about Costa Rica. I'm not saying that's
definitely a lot of Costa Rica.
We talked about it last week.
Yep. The last time Costa Rica was jamming was when Donald Douglas had his factory.
Douglas. Oh, with Bahia.
Yeah, Bahia Gold, Bahia Maduro, and the original CAO.
All heard Donald Duck.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. Like, wait, I'm
I
Googling.
all heard Donald Duck.
Don Douglas.
Don Douglas, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tony Borhani. When I remember sitting on the patio with we were on the balcony with Jason Samuelson, who's the buyer for Cigar Box, and Michael Fry. The Bahia Gold Maduro came in, and we sat down, and that was like, what the hell just happened?
He went
phenomenal.
He was an overnight success.
Yeah,
and then just as easily burned out. Like fast.
Abe, you've been in the business a long time. I mean, I thought just thinking back. I always thought Tony Borhani, because you always saw Tony Borhani with then Rocky, they were walking through the show floor. But Tony Borhani was like the first like glam celebrity guy, like showy.
He was
no
a showy
socks,
guy.
Loafers, yeah.
He was a showy
he was walking,
guy.
tiny guy. He was like a horse jockey.
Literally, very small guy. Literally.
But
that was right there, man. It just came out overnight. I remember seeing it and all of a sudden selling it like we were giving it away.
Yeah.
That factory produced probably the hottest cigars of the time at that point.
Yeah.
And then it just collapsed. And I hadn't heard much about, Costa Rica since then.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Why is it the cost factor? Is that why people, there's not that many people doing it in Costa Rica or Peru?
Yeah, I think a little bit. Everybody. No, I shouldn't say everybody, but the cigar industry, you have cigars that you just churn out, which we do as well. We try to churn out some cigars, like our bundled cigars, classic. That obviously you're churning out. Then you have cigars that you want to age and rest, or using aged tobacco. So you'll pay a little bit more. But again, that Peruvian tobacco is a little bit more expensive, so it's not widely used. Costa Rica, you're absolutely right. It's a little bit more expensive. In fact, Nelson, typically a pair of rollers can roll, 300 to 500 cigars a day. But Nelson, with his rollers, that really only roll the production there a few times a year. But the rollers there only roll about 150 cigars on average a day.
Wow.
He wants to make sure that everything's perfection. Because when you're looking at Atabey, Nelson knows that he is going to let that rest for 5 years. So he's not going to be able to go back and say, hey, this is plugged, this is burning incorrectly. So he wants to make sure it's absolutely 100% correct. Now there have been times where whenever we get a bad roller and we don't find out until afterwards. But if I touch on that aging, so The cigars are rolled. He wants to make sure they're perfect. Once the cigars are rolled in Costa Rica, they're shipped out to Miami or Spain, and he has separate aging rooms there. They're all different aging rooms too. He'll use the most important part about aging a cigar is the cedar. So he'll use Cuban, Spanish, Mexican, Brazilian, and Lebanese cedars inside of the room. Now, Lebanese cedars you can't purchase that. That's protected. But he'll use different. Like at one point he actually took furniture and raw furniture and actually used pieces of cedar. It doesn't really help in the aging process, but that's to pay homage to his mother, who was Lebanese. So he'll put that in the room. So imagine just a large aging room. And when I say aging, that's where the cedar comes into place. You're using those 5 cedars from ceiling to floor, 1-inch thick planks, because he'll sand that down about twice a year, actually shave it down. And then what he does is he'll bring humidity down to 40% gradually. And then over the course of those 5 years, he'll then bring it back up to 70 and then back down to 40. So over 5 years, it's just breathing in all the different cedar notes. So if you think of like whiskey and wines, why they're using oak barrels or different different woods, it's the oak is more permeable, so the liquid will go into the oak. So it's the same as the humidity. The humidity will go into the cedar, and then it goes back out. And then when the cigar goes to 70, it's breathing in all those cedar notes, but it's also cleaning the cigar. When it goes to 40%, it's purging anything else that's left in the cigar.
Well,
And that's after 3 to 5.
I'm going to tell you, always hear these stories, right? He showed me pictures of these aging rooms. I mean,
oh really?
God, they're mind blowing.
Oh, so did you see his new? He's building a warehouse, an aging room in Spain.
He showed me.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, this is real deal stuff. So, amazing. And we got to take a break. We're gonna have more with Oliver Nivaud and talk a little bit more about Atabey and Byron Cigars.
Byron Bandolero.
Yes. Up ahead in segment 2, we have Name That Jam from Avo Cigars. More about our friend Coop will be on to give us a scoop this week. Tail of Tape season 5 episode. It's
3.
not episode 2, but definitely not episode 2. I think it's episode 3 at this point. And of course, Would You Rather? Jam-packed hour 2. Don't go anywhere. Could be 4. Could be 4. I mean, our producer never does. Yeah, just anyways. Keep it lit. Keep it lit.
Explore the unexplored with St. Louis Rey Carenas. Set sail to discover an extraordinary Honduran cigar deeply anchored in tradition. The St. Louis Rey Carenas features a Nicaraguan wrapper cloaked over 100% Honduran tobacco that make up the binder and filler. The St. Louis Rey Carenas, in the Toro size, received a 93 rating in Cigar Aficionado and was featured in their illustrious Top 25 Cigars of 2021 list. The St. Louis Rey Carenas is available in 4 different sizes: a Robusto, Toro, Bellicoso, and Magnum. So get ready to take a trip back in time to experience the heritage of St. Louis Rey with the St. Louis Rey Carenas.
Phenomenal. 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 Phenomenal.
Welcome back. Listen, if you're gonna play that commercial, play it before the Ultimus one. If you're gonna do the Phenomenal one, that way you get a little fade out, because the Ultimus ad has a fade out, and it's not such a hard intro. But I'm gonna.
You got it.
Thank you very much. We talked about having these hard coming back ins now forever. They got a nice little fade at the end of that Altus commercial. That should be the last one.
There's actually not. I cut it at that fade. There's more at the end of it, but I cut it there so it looks better.
Oh, well, what's the point if you're just going to slam me back with the Phenomenal thing?
I didn't realize that the Phenomenal didn't have a fade, because Alex made that and he's the one that does the fades.
Okay. You know, I'm going to tell you something that I tell my daughter when she started working at the warehouse. Yeah. So she's packing orders and they have to sign off. And I told her, I said, listen, when you sign off, you put your name on something. It's on this document.
Amen.
You need to have a little pride and make sure that you've done your job, looked it over before you put your name on it. You have zero pride in this outline every week. It's always got wrong dates, wrong guests, wrong everything.
It never has wrong guests.
What? Oh, yeah. Upcoming guests? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has. You have wrong upcoming guests, wrong dates, wrong show numbers, wrong. Why do it? Why go through the motion if you really don't want to make a good outline?
I'm hoping that Alex will just take it over.
Well, then what will be left for you to do?
Show my pretty face.
Seriously. Anyways, welcome back.
You called yourself hideous earlier.
I'm not. I was talking to a hair implant customer this week that I'm taking on as a client for my day job. And I was thinking in my head, like, would that even make a difference? If I had hair again, would that make a difference?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I asked my wife, I was like, would you like me better with hair? And she she obviously knew me when I had hair. And she was just like, well, it doesn't change anything. I'm like, great. All right.
The hair is not the problem. Let's be real. And Quentin, I've already taken over booking for him. How much more work do you want me to take over? Quentin Thornation, do his work for him, Abe. I've already taken over the booking of guests. How much more work do we have to take over for Paul?
I thought Quentin keeps saying he wants to be the producer.
Oh, please. I'm happy. I finally got my $20. I don't even.
You have it framed? You should frame it.
I got to put it with the other things, but I don't even think I've taken it out of the envelope. I bet you it's still in the envelope. Yep, sure is.
In his card?
Yep, in his card. You still have his signed $20
Nice.
bill. I got Anyways, our guest for our Meet Your Maker, a very interesting first-time guest in KMA, Oliver Nivaud of United Cigar Group. Oliver, we like to start segment 2 with a little fun. We have a segment called Name That Jam by Avo Cigars. Very simple segment. We're gonna play you. We're gonna play you 3 seconds of a song, and we're gonna test your musical acumen and see if you can actually name that jam. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see if Oliver can name that jam. All right, here we go, Oliver. We're going to play 3 seconds of it. If you need to hear it again, let us know, and we're going to see if you can name this jam. Ooh, I don't even know that one.
Holy crap.
Not a rock.
Yeah, I mean, oh no.
It almost sounded like, that bad 80s, 90s. I mean, I was going to say like Houdini.
It was playing with the speakers too. You hear it go back and forth. It was like,
I know it's not, but for some reason it reminds me of Thriller a little bit. Play it one more time.
I can play it one more time.
Oh.
No way. Don't know it.
I think it's Michael Jackson, though. I think you're on the right. I don't know the answer.
No, that's too. The studio.
I know it's not Michael Jackson. It's just that beat reminded me of.
That's a Houdini, Bobby Brown-esque type.
He's kind of in the realm. He's in the realm. He's in the realm.
Want to throw a crack at it?
Jesus. I don't know.
It was nailed in the comments. I'll give you that.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's
wow,
see who it
really?
was. Let's see who it was. Yeah, I don't even know that song.
No, me neither.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Really?
Do you know that song, Oliver?
I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Zappin'.
Yeah, me neither. That's
who?
Alex has sometimes a different reality than the majority of the people.
Are you kidding me?
What were they? A big Philly band?
Look how many people say no idea.
Two nailed it. Two nailed it.
I saw definitely one. Ray got it right.
Ray and Greg Kelly nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Big jam back in the day.
Wow.
Well, Oliver,
You guys probably played it in your chat group like yesterday. So.
No, Alex is actually pretty staunch that he won't let us hear the jam beforehand.
Wow.
He picks it.
Well, anyways,
Well, that's good.
Oliver,
Everyone's playing.
neither you
failed.
nor any of us named that jam other than Greg Kelly and who was it, Ray?
And Ray.
So, once again, thank you to Avo Cigars. This segment brought to you by Avo Cigars, composing eloquent music with tobacco all year long. Thank you very much. Now, back to our guest. Yeah.
So I actually have something. I saw an interesting article, and I found it interesting because you really don't see this outside of like the Cuban cigar world. But you guys actually had a problem with Atabey with counterfeits, which caused you to make a secondary ban. Is that right?
Yeah. So we ran into a slight problem, and well, I mean it did happen to Padron.
It happened to Padron. That's why they went with the serial coded label.
Yeah, all the serial codes.
And it happened with Fuente, with Opus X.
Fuente, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think because when you look at a cigar that's at that price point, right? Anybody's gonna they're gonna try to do something. So we ran into the issue one with bands I think they were being reused, and then also there was talk about the Atabey seconds were making it to the market. And one guy, I was getting DMs constantly about, hey, are you selling cigars, unbanded Atabeys because they're selling it at this store. And, it's no, 100% no. And I'm not selling them. We're not selling anything. In fact, the seconds are, Nelson has stacks of them because he's so meticulous about what makes the box. So yeah, no, we had to do he did a secondary ban just on the foot. Now there's, coming up maybe next year or the year after, there's another ban coming out that will be interesting. I don't know if I can fully divulge it yet, but it will be different and unique. It might be unique to the market. It will be unique to the market. He's always creating something. Nelson's always doing something, and that's the beauty and the frustration, right? Because he'll come out like, Abe, you were at the booth. He had some beautiful ashtrays.
Do we have pictures of the accessories, Paul? Because I'm telling you, this was some of the most stunning accessories. It caught everybody's eye at the show.
Paul's
on mute?
Yeah,
Paul's on mute.
Oh, he's got pictures.
Beautiful ashtray.
Yeah, that looks like an ashtray.
Well, that's the secondary band, and he's on mute.
He's on mute.
Nope.
What a hot mess.
I know I'm on mute. I have pictures.
He was telling
because I did ask you to get some ready for the show.
Yeah, I have them
during our meeting.
Okay. Yeah, he had us on mute because he was picking up another hair plug customer.
Thank you.
On the other line.
You know it's bad when the guest gets in on the ribbing.
Oh, look at that! Ridiculous, gorgeous. I wish you
That's
could
the box.
Give a shot. Yeah.
Now this cigar hasn't been released yet.
That has not been released yet. That should start shipping next. Well, we're going quick. The Alfonso should start shipping next week. This is the Byron.
Paul.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Go ahead, Oliver.
We're stopping at okay. So this is the Byron Epique Poema 30 count humidor. Only 500 humidors have been made. This will start shipping in November, just in time for the end of the year holidays. There will be 30 Epique Poemas inside of the humidor, and it will come with 50 refill Byron Epique cigars. So if you can look at that picture, the cigars in the front, they're held on by a magnetic strip of wood. And on the bottom, you see that little cedar line.
Yes.
So that cedar line is angled. So it's like a wedge. So the cigars are tilted back a little bit. So even when you take out, if you were to display this humidor at your house in the store, if you take that magnetic strip of wood away, the cigars will not fall out. They'll rest inside. It's a beautiful, beautiful custom piece.
What is
that's
this
made
one?
with hazelnut wood. There it is open. So
Okay.
that is the Atabey. Yeah, that is the Atabey humidor that will probably be released at the 2023 PCA. So this features 60 Atabey cigars. So that's 5 of each Vitola, and that there's no set price on this yet. There were a couple of things that were going around, but really the humidor is just starting to get into production. What we'd like to do is just say to the retailer, hey, this is This is a thank you in the humidor, but the cigars will come with a cost, but the humidor will be yours to either display, use to promote, giveaway. If somebody wants to do an all-in buy-in, congratulations. That'll be quite a ring at the register, but absolutely gorgeous. It got the 2 drawers on the sides, so you can see on the far right, you see some cigars there, but there are 10 and 10 on each side, and then you have 20 and 20. Is that right? Did I do that right?
I think
Looks that
so.
way. Yes.
40, yeah.
I actually have not found any pictures of the ashtray. You asked.
Yeah, Garrett will help you out one day. Garrett's got them all. And thanks to Half Wheel, I'd like to give him thanks because I realized that the photos that Paul grabbed were from your site. So thank you, Half Wheel.
So the ashtrays, Nelson, again, he does if you look on the bottom of a lot of the ashtrays that are, I guess, and jars that are sold internationally, you'll see originally there was the Byron logo on the bottom. That was Nelson's company. His design company is Golden Age Video Design. So on the bottom of a lot of the jars and ashtrays that were on the market before would have the Byron logo. He changed that because his Byron line was coming to market. So now it will say, designed by Nelson Alfonso. You'll see even the Padron 50th anniversary humidor. If you take the tray out and you look behind the lock, there's a coin inside there that is Nelson's coin and design. It says designed by Nelson Alfonso, but he never wants to take away from what the project is. He didn't want to put, they said, oh, you can put your name on the front, you can put your name on the top. He didn't want to do that. So that's how humble this, Nelson is.
No,
but these ashtrays, unfortunately, it's limited production. There was one for the Alfonso, one for the Bandolero, new designs, unbelievable designs, but it's just limited production. It's not made out of ceramic. It's not mass produced. These are porcelain ashtrays that just take time.
Is this one of them?
So that's it. That must be it. That looks like the Cohiba. That's the Cohiba. It might be the Cohiba Maduro or the
that's
Cohiba
the bottom
ashtray.
of the ashtray, Paul.
Yeah. But that is the bottom. So you can see the Byron logo on there. So this would be if you pulled that off the internet, that's an older one.
Okay.
This could be a Hall of Fame episode for Paul DeGrom. Swear to God.
There's an ashtray on the market that he had designed for I think it was for Cohiba, but it's got little edges on the side, and then there's a bowl, but the edges on the side, nobody will know this, and I know it was taken by a couple other companies and sold in the U.S. and got knocked off. But that design, it was done because it's actually the profile of the Cohiba Indian, and it was meant to be displayed at the Habanos Festival with a light shining on it, so that when the light shines on the ashtray, you'll see the 2 Indian heads on the side, broadcast on the screen in the back. So it's pretty amazing work that he does.
We have meetings on Thursday to kind of prep for the show, and I literally said, "Hey, let's get some pictures of the ashtrays because they were amazing looking ashtrays."
Yeah, let's look at that.
And this is what we get.
Yeah, that one's not so amazing, the one you showed, but
the prettiest ashtrays he didn't
right,
show.
Right.
Gorgeous stuff.
Do you want me to send you some stuff, Paul?
Yeah, if you text it to me, I can
now?
put it on. I honestly was not able to find any of them.
Your buddy Coop and your buddy Garrett all said they have plenty of photos of them. It's that hard work and effort once again.
Garrett, send me a link or something if you can.
Oh my gosh.
It's work. Yes.
Before the break, we were going to get more into the Adobe and Byron cigars and profiles. And why don't you hit on a little bit of those for any of our listeners who might be unfamiliar with the lines?
With the selected tobacco lines?
Well, we talked about the Bandolero before the break, and we didn't really get much into the Adobe and the Byron and the blends and where those profiles land for our listeners who may be a little bit unfamiliar with them.
Sure. So Adobe, when you look at Adobe, there are, like I mentioned, there are 12 different Vitolos, but in the Adobe line, you're looking at an Ecuadorian, very thin Ecuadorian wrapper, what I consider near flawless. It uses a double binder as well to hold it everything in place, because also imagine, as delicate as that wrapper is, when it's going through the aging process of 40% to 70%, the cigar's shrinking and expanding. And then he'll use a lot of Peruvian and Dominican in the Atabey, and then age the Atabey. All Atabeys are aged for a minimum of 5 years post roll, right, in that aging room. And the aging rooms that you saw, Abe, those are going to be separate rooms, for different. We're looking at maybe different retailers have their own rooms, and then also just aging the cigars separately. Then when you look at the Byron lines, at three different centuries, I touched on a little bit. So the 19th century is going to have the most body, but what's interesting and what's also a little could be confusing about the Byron line is that the 19th century, all four Vitolas in the 19th century have a different flavor profile, because the Petit Poema is a smaller Petit Corona. That's going to be the one with the most pepper, but then you go to and that's aged for 4 years. And when you look at the Byron Poema, aged for 3 years, it's completely different. So the 19th century is going to be your more medium to full. When you go to the 20th century, you have the Londinese, the Venecianos, which is the Torpedo, the Mesalonges, which is a 7x58, and the Habanero, which is more of a Toro 6x50, 54 on that one. And then in the 21st century line, if we go back to the 20th century line, sorry, the Nicaraguan's taken out, like I mentioned, more Dominican, Peruvian, so a little more subtle on the upfront palate, but again, very, very smooth. Those are aged anywhere from 3 to 5 years as well. Then on the 21st century line, those are all aged for 4 years post-roll. But a couple things are interesting on the 21st century. So 3 of the sizes, the Aristocrat, which is an 8x52, the Honorables, 7x58, and the Elegante Toro 6x54, all use the Ecuadorian Atabey wrapper. Dominican binder, Dominican Peruvian filler, so a little more subtle on the palate. But there was a mistake in production. This was early on, because there was a mistake in production. A darker wrapper was used on the Distinguidos, which is also a 6x54. The mistake was the darker Ecuadorian wrapper. And when I started in 2016, it wasn't on the market. And I remember one time Nelson came out with 10 count boxes of the Distinguidos just to kind of, I hate to say blow through the product, but to kind of push the product out so he could go back to the other wrapper. And I remember sitting down with him, I smoked it, and he explained the story to me. I said, this isn't a mistake. This was meant to be, because it's an absolutely phenomenal cigar. It changes the profile of the cigar. So now you can actually smoke the Elegante next to the Distinguidos and see the difference a wrapper will make. Wow. So absolutely beautiful cigar. On the Byron line as well, in each century, there's one size that is released in a 25 count humidor. So in the 19th century, you have the Gran Poema. In the 20th century, the Habanero. In the 21st century, you have the Elegante. All Toro sizes, but that comes out once a year. Every year, it was limited to 200 humidors. And I think now, over time, he's been able to increase production. This year, we might be able to go to 300 humidors for that, or the 2023. So that will be released. Then on the Bandolero, again, three different lines. You have the Serie A, the Aventureros line, that uses a very dark Ecuadorian wrapper, Peruvian Seco, Nicaraguan and Dominican fillers. And those all Bandolero age for a minimum of 1 to 2 years in that aging process. So, and I keep saying aging process because when I started smoking cigars, and I would buy a box and I would set it aside, and anything I ever read, if you close, like if you locked your doors today and your humidor today, you didn't revisit a cigar in there for 5 years, you would say it's a 5-year-old cigar. And that's true. It's 5 years old, but the aging process is what makes selected tobacco unique to the industry, because that cleansing of the cigars, the introducing all those cedar notes into the cigar makes it completely different. So Bandolero, even though it's a more approachable line in the selected tobacco portfolio, it's still aged 1 to 2 years. So the Aventureros is going to be a more fuller bodied with that darker wrapper. When you go to the Clandestino line, it uses a lighter Ecuadorian wrapper, and that uses Peruvian Ligero. But Peruvian Ligero is much different than Nicaraguan Ligero or even Dominican Ligero. So very, very unique, a little more subtle. So he'll just use that in the Clandestino line, the Series C. So that's going to be medium body, but not as much pepper up front. And then when you go to the Traficante line, the one you guys are smoking now, the Tremendos is the Robusto, the 5x50. But that's a Series T, and that uses a little bit of Nicaraguan Ligero and just a little more body. So I consider that one medium plus, and you're going to have a little more of that pepper up front. But the retrohale on Bandoleros, to me, unbelievable. Absolutely love it.
I have to commend you, seriously, because we've interviewed a lot of guests. I've had a lot of manufacturers sitting across my desk. You just regurgitated all that data. I was watching your eyes. You didn't read a thing. And you'd be surprised, man. People don't know their own sizes sometimes, or you regurgitated all. Kudos to you, because that was impressive for me.
Thank you. Well, the line to me is impressive. Like I said, when I sat down in 2016, I immersed myself in it. When I learned about Nelson, and you met him once, and I don't know how long you were able to sit down with him, but he's just incredibly humble. And I'm always blown away with the facts that he brings out and the stories, the history, because he jumped into it. He dove into, he helped write the book, The World of Habanos. So he was digging into all this history. So he has all these stories that every time I sit down with him, it's something new. Even, like I said, the aging process and the cedar, and how he's infatuated with cedar and how it will help age the cigars.
His passion is 100% apparent. You could tell he couldn't wait to show us his aging rooms and what he was working on, and to try this. And you're right, he's just a gentle, humble person. It was really a pleasure talking to him this year.
Yeah, and it's 100% passion, because I mean, Abe, you've been in business for a long time. We're all in it for kind of the end game. You might want to pass it down to family, or you're in it for the end game. So, the end game is selling it. And Nelson, he has passion, because if somebody were to offer him a set amount right now, I want to buy your company. I always kid with Nelson. I said, you're a terrible businessman. You're a genius, but you're a terrible businessman, because if somebody were to buy the company today, they would strip half of what he does. Because yes, there's cost involved, and that's why you see an elevated cost. But just like a scotch, a bourbon, a wine, like we all hold those three spirits and more in high regard, right? When we're looking at a Macallan 25, you're like, oh, I'll pay that. Why not? That's worth it. But in cigars, everyone's like, oh, why is it that much? Oh, I'm not going to pay that much. But you're not buying. Everyone, you have to stop thinking about the dollar amount, because it varies for everybody. You have to think about the time. Is your time worth an hour and a half to smoke and sit down with an Atabey? And I can guarantee you, if you smoke an Atabey Byron Bandolero, you grab that Vitola and you smoke another Vitola from a different brand, the Atabey and the Byron will have a tendency to smoke longer, because the tobacco, it's weighted heavier. The aging of the tobacco, it smokes slower, and I find that I have a tendency to smoke it a little bit slower, because it just takes me into a different area mentally. So I'm really able to kind of chill with it.
Now, you noticed saying that as far as trends in smokers' palates, people are looking for more complex blends, more so in the last few years. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone's searching. The good and bad about social media is it introduced people to a lot of different brands, but I think the negative side is everyone's looking for the new, what's different. I want something more. And then go back to the good. It also educated people on, different blends, different cigars. Their palates change. Again, similar to spirits. When I don't know if you guys, everyone drinks. So did you steal liquor from your parents, or were you're drinking Mad Dog 2020? You're drinking,
man, Oliver, you stole liquor from your parents and cigars from your parents. Wow.
I know, right? I'm a true bandolero, right? That's all I was doing was stealing. So, right, but you're making that, the jungle juice, you're mixing everything together. It didn't matter, because you were mixing it with something else. You're mixing it with Coke. You're mixing it with, we made up something called Skipper Punch here in, my hometown in high school. It was we're just throwing booze in, and then you're grabbing, I forget what that one Anyway, but we're throwing juices in there just to mask the taste. So you
Mhm.
have cigars in the marketplace that do that as well. Some of it's under fermented, and you can smell it on the foot. You can smell a cigar when it's under fermented, but under fermented tobacco can also be masked when you can't smell it necessarily, but when you start to smoke it, you start to have a bite in the back of the throat. So people don't think it's under fermented, but it's under fermented tobacco, and they look at it as like, wow, this is a really strong, powerful cigar. So there are just different levels. I think the consumer out there is much more educated, because of social media. Before it was just magazines and reviews that were out, but customers are hungry for information. So they love the information that you provide. They love to experience new cigars, and I think it's a challenge, but the cigar industry now, the construction was the one thing that I think we changed from the early 2000s when there was the boom. Like, the construction was terrible back then, but now if there's even a slight variation on the cigar, the burn line is one thing that I hear all the time. The burn is waving a little, but these are handmade products. Like, if that's the only problem with the cigar, I think we're doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just have unrealistic expectations, of what a cigar is and how it should be. Not just in that. We had a guy, what was it, yesterday? A guy was complaining about on social media that he should pay extra for UPS service, as if he was complaining that the package wasn't getting there enough. So, me being the guy, I just had to look it up. I was curious, right? He placed his order at 8:30 p.m. on the 17th. We shipped it the 18th, and he made the comment on the 19th. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, maybe you should lower your expectations a little bit, slightly.
And what you probably don't know the age range, but look at what Amazon's done to us, right? I mean, I've ordered stuff. It comes the same day. Like, we can't do that.
No.
And if that's what you want, then just go to your local brick and mortar, support it. Let me show you this too. I grabbed. So this is the cellophane that's on all Atabey Byron selected tobacco. So I don't know. I knotted it up, but you can see how it's brown.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
So
you can see the aging. Yeah, that's done on there too. So, and for a while there, Nelson, he was replacing the cello, because he would see this and he's like, oh, it looks dirty, it looks bad, and I was like, not for the U.S. market, not at all.
So the cigars
love
are
that.
aged in the cello.
They're aged in the cello, not in the boxes. The cigars
No.
are not placed into the box
Right.
until they're ready to ship.
Because traditionally, when you see aging rooms, they're not celloed yet. They sell.
Well, your cello is a little different, though, right? It's not. It's cut off at the bottom.
Some
Like the Atabey.
Yeah.
It breathes.
It breathes. Yeah.
It's got an open foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll have an open foot. He actually did a punch cut, and I think you're coming post punch cut on the end of the cello. The problem with the punch cut, he wanted it to breathe, but the problem was when you take the cigar out of the cello, the little holes were catching the wrapper,
Raping the
and
wrapper.
it was just and it was ripping it. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it very interesting because I can't recall seeing any aging room that had cello on the cigars.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if anybody does
many.
that.
No.
It'd be interesting. Now I'm
I
going
don't
to
think
pay more attention. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. He took me on a tour of the room down in Miami, and he just has shelves and it's all the cedar. He showed it to me when he stripped everything out. He'll take everything out of the humidor, shave it down, and then put the cigars back in because he wants a fresh layer of cedar.
yeah, it's great.
It's unbelievable.
Well, every week we have our KMA contributor, our dear friend, join us on the show to give us up-to-date news on what's going on in the cigar industry. So let's take a moment to find out right now, what is the scoop with Coop?
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
Coop.
Good morning,
Coop, I just got to ask.
Coop.
Oliver.
How does it feel? How does it feel when your buddy, who we correspond pretty much all week via text, doesn't even reach out to you to get something like simple thing like a photo of accessories or something?
Paul,
I didn't know that you go to me.
not only am I hurt, right? First of all, I'm not. You're gonna have to deal with the calls from Half Wheel using the photos, right? Not me. But
I gave them credit.
You notice I gave him thanks, real
But-
quick when he saw that.
But here's the thing. I'm really proud because we did a lot of coverage on United and Selected this year, pre and post show. And Oliver, I gotta say, he gave us a lot of time at the trade show. So we had a ton of information and photos out there. We may not have every photo, and I get that, but no, I was kind of bummed on that. I gotta be honest with you, Paul. I mean, I defend you. I think sometimes you take an unfair pounding, but this one, I'm sorry.
It's never unfair pounding.
That's not true.
And to Coop's credit too, you made an appointment. You were there before the show, before the show opened. So we had time. The VIPs come in at that point too. But you were in early. We were able to hammer everything out, and there was a lot to cover. But
it was a lot, and it was really two booths because Selected Tobacco and United had two booths, and there was a lot out there. And by the way, that the booth was so impressive. I mean,
somebody put Casey's comment up there. It's worth sharing. There you go. Now I feel better. For those who Paul's worried about who are listening audio and can't see it, basically our KMA fan Casey Aldemandi says Paul never gets pounded enough.
How long have you known him? You still say his name wrong. And
there are people who I will forever say their name wrong. Aldemani, Guttermison. I know it's Guttormson, but that's it. It's stuck in my head. He will always be Eric Guttermison.
Tim Osginger. How do you say his name?
Ozinger is kind of how it's said.
It's Osginger.
I think it's Osginger.
It could be Ozinger, but I've heard Ozinger my whole life.
Maybe but just in my defense, Coop does not have any pictures of the ashtrays on his.
We didn't have pictures of the ashtrays. Correct. I'll give you that one. Yes, that's why I said.
But
we didn't
here
have
is
every
a picture
photo.
of the ashtray. That
look at that thing.
And let me tell you something. I'm going to be honest. That picture doesn't do it justice. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
No, because it's about 6 inches. Those peaks, they're about 6 inches high, right? So it's like waves.
Even the simple low profile Alfonso ashtray, like that's the one I want to have in my house. That was a gorgeous ashtray. So what were we just? Because I was going to ask Coop's opinion. What were we just talking about? Right before we put up the ashtray. Oh man.
You were bashing me.
Paul getting pounded.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Paul getting pounded.
God dang it.
I don't think we were going to ask Coop that.
He threw me a curveball with that ashtray. Anyways, Coop, what is the scoop? What's going on this week?
All right. So first story, Abe. I think you and I are going to agree with this one for a change, right? Because I heard you on. I heard you on Smoke Night Live last night. This news came out of Arturo Fuente with the resignation of Liana Fuente. So that occurred early this week. Surprised a lot of people. I think more is being made out of this than it is. But no, I mean, she's resigned. It was, I don't think there was really any reason given other than maybe she wants to do something different and make a life change, which again, coming from family business, I kind of understand this. And I don't think people realize this sometimes. And I'm hearing all sorts of like crazy things. I mean, the truth is we really don't know, but someone has a right to leave their job if they don't want to work their job or if they have lifestyle things they want to deal with. So I think more is being made out of this than eBay.
What you got to ask yourself is, I believe that Ernie Jr. left the company. Why was a press release needed? People come and go. I mean, I don't know. By making a press release, especially without saying where she was going or what she was doing, was going to cause people to wonder and talk. And I don't know if a press release was even necessary.
If you're not going to be, I agree in this case. I do think the press release is okay, but you can't go halfway with it, is what I'm saying. You got to either, because you left it open too much questioning there. And, the more you're going to not say is the more people are going to think.
Yeah.
So I agree with you in that case.
I personally don't think it's really anybody's business. Like I said,
it isn't. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
You're 100% right on that. People have a right, I think we get wrapped up in this, and maybe me as media, I'll put in there as well. But like I said, people have personal reasons sometimes why they want to do things, and it's not. They don't have to share that with the world.
Nope.
Nope. So we agree on this one. You and I agree on this one.
Shocker.
Right.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on like press releases are put out just so people will talk about you if they want to pick it up, but it's up to the media if they want to pick it up, if they think it's newsworthy. But I think for this one, it's challenging if they don't bring up or give enough information, because then the speculation, even though we're
Right.
talking about it now, so it's a name, but then there's too much speculation on something like this that more information should have been provided. But yeah, I mean, for me, if I can put out a press release for anything, I will, and if it gets picked up, great, people are talking about it.
Right. And when you're looking for a photo later on and you have that press release, you can go grab that
Right.
photo.
What else you got going on, Coop?
All right, I'm actually glad Oliver's on because we could tie this in a little. But we talked about this last week, and it has kind of, I think, really. I mean, I could tell you a lot of people in the circles I talked to have been just talking about this NFT auction by La Flor Dominicana for the Golden Bulls. And there was some serious coin, I think, dropped in the past week. Like we were talking about that first auction last week. That coin went for, or not coin, NFT went for $85,000. There's been 3 more NFTs sold, and 2 of them went for $90,000. And I know from when we were at the booths for La Flor Dominicana, they were hoping to get between like $36,000 to $40,000. I don't think they imagined that this thing was going to take off the way it did.
I don't think anybody in the universe did.
No. So there's 3 more.
Well, because nobody understands NFTs. Right? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And we did one, but it still doesn't make sense. But yeah.
Yeah, you guys, and I was gonna say you guys did one but yours was a little different because this one was like there was an NFT component, right. And then you had to write with the LFT. You had to write to buy these cigars, kind of like as a personal seat license at a football ticket, so to speak. Right. So that was. Right. I talked to the guy who won the first 2 Bitcoins, and he actually was telling me this was more about the NFT investment. I think for him. Like that's why
it's got to be.
Yeah.
As a retailer, yeah. I've done the math.
Yeah.
There's not, because listen, you can't beat Brian Lewis. I love this guy. I can listen to him all day long, and then I want to jump off a cliff. You can't guarantee that there's going to be 100 buyers every month for 10 months. 70, buyers every month for 10 months to pay $100 for a cigar.
No.
That's this big.
Right.
That's this big. I mean, you don't know how long it's going to last. So if you're buying it as an investment, of I'm going to make money on this cigar, man, that's about as risky as an investment you can get. I've been saying it all week. These people have to believe that there's a value in the NFT.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Time out. Wait, you might want to check your math case.
Yeah.
Do we let him work on the register?
You might want to check your math there, bro. Just saying.
I want to delete that comment.
Yeah, but when you're here's the problem. Like when we launched the Atabey Black Ritos NFT, that was more conceptual, right? We're testing the market. Is it coming to market? Possibly. There's something in production, I'll say. So it was more of a conceptual thing. And when we did it, we were raising money for Cigar Rights of the World. So everything from the NFT, because there's no inventory for us. It's, the work put into it. It was really Nelson's design. So if you're looking at the graphic artist, whatever you pay them hourly, you put that into the cost. There's a cost to upload it to OpenSea.io, I think is where it's there. It is. Wow, look at that. So like this is 25 out of 25. We were selling the singles. We sold the box of 25 singles. So you would buy the single. Yes, you have the NFT as yours, and in the future, whatever that means. We're kind of leaving that open, but it was to raise money and awareness for Cigar Rights of the World. Then when you bought the box, we put 10 boxes out. And when you bought the box, that's going to get you, some access to something later. But all the funds are going to Cigar Rights of the World. When you're buying an NFT, it's already a very unique market because nobody understands what an NFT is. Why am I going to buy something that's not tangible, that's just out there? So when you're looking at NFTs, it's already a select market. But then when you're going into cigars in the NFT world, that's an even smaller market. So to put value, I mean, I hope it works out. I hope they,
it's worked out for the floor.
Value.
It's worked out for the floor.
100%. The way they executed it, brilliant in a way without looking at they're making 400,000.
If they could put that same kind of execution in cigar production, then we'll really be talking. Sorry, John. That's kind of why you were one of my holds last night.
But the NFT world, I know we got both sides of it. We got a little flack. I know you guys had a little flack because it didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense. But again, if we can raise a little bit of money for someone, we wanted to, and it was more of a conceptual thing just to see, what we could do with Atabey.
Yeah, I thought I'll be honest, I was confused by it, but at the same time, you threw out this concept on there that if this is something you are going to put into production, it kind of was a way to kind of show it, So right. I kind of understood that part of it. Like I said, the NFT thing is still beyond me, but that's me being old school, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah. Well, it's, it's beyond me too. Ethereum, because you had to have Ethereum to buy the NFT, but Ethereum went down. I mean, it was up to, I don't know, 2,400 at one point per coin. It went down to 900. I think it's back up to 1,900. So your investment, even just in Ethereum, if you have coins sitting there, well, now you bought something else. And we've had people that have already sold their NFTs, for a profit. So
do you know
if it works out?
Do you know if someone sells them or no?
Yeah, you get notifications. It's all that blockchain is all. It's all mapped out, so you see where it goes.
It's fully transparent.
That's exactly how I feel. That blockchain is, I don't know.
It's a blockchain.
It's a blockchain.
Right.
What
it
else?
Makes us happy to say it's a blockchain, right? Like we know what we're talking about, but
right?
It's a blockchain, right?
What else we got going? Oh, Casey's throwing in his Bitcoin knowledge. Yes, it's all in the ledger.
Yeah, ledger. That's good.
Must not require math. That's why he knows a lot about Bitcoin. Anyways, what else is going on, Coop? Anything else?
One other thing, Zeno, the Zeno brand under Davidoff has a new size of the Zeno Nicaragua coming out in a 6x60. And if folks aren't familiar with Zeno Nicaragua, it's more of a value-priced Zeno offering. So that line was released last year. The Gordo is going to be the fourth size to come in there, and just an FYI, there's also some cigarillos that are going out to Europe under that name, but you're not going to be able to get them here. So the Zeno Gordo, you can look forward to that. And then just from Drew Estate, Nica Rustica is shipping next week, and they have announced again that they're going to announce another cigar under their Freestyle Live program.
Is that what that program is now? Just an announcement of cigars? Is that what Freestyle Live is?
It seems to be that they're doing it twice a year. They've had success with it. So they release these unbanded cigars with some swag, and they sell a kit that retailers get. And it's, and then the idea is you smoke the cigars, and then they have their quarterly podcast where they unveil what the cigar is. It's been an interesting concept that's worked for them.
What are you saying, Alex?
Sorry, I just had Connoisseur Club.
Oh. Well, he was one of our first people to sign up.
He was one of the first to sign up.
Joe Grow was one of the first people to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Do you listen? The 6x60 has always kind of been a novelty size. Do you feel it's worked its way into now just being a standard size, like a Toro, Robusto, Churchill, Torpedo, Gordo?
I do.
And I find that insane. And I think
the 70s have stayed novelty. I don't think they've caught on.
I think anything above 60 is still extremely novelty.
Yeah,
but the problem is that, and we talk about this all the time, because we used to have lines that we couldn't keep the 60 ring gauges in stock, flying out the door. And now we just find ourselves with a plethora of 60 ring gauge cigars, and none of them are flying out the door. They're all trickling. I think they've just divided that.
Yes.
Already, as they told me I pronounced wrong all last night, niche. They've taken an already niche segment and dissected it 8 ways to Tuesday.
How are you supposed to say it?
I was saying niche.
Oh.
Niche. I can't remember.
Yeah,
what
but
I was saying.
you were saying it right both ways. How do you say
Yeah,
it?
I think it's
On
tomato.
It's region.
Yeah, they were beating up on me because I was saying it wrong last night. But
yeah, they're on the West Coast.
but definitely, Abe. It's
they're eating
definitely,
gummies. What do they know? Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, I remember like 10, 12 years ago, La Gloria Cubana, Cigar. I knew people who were big ring gauge fans that would always go to that. Yeah, the Grand Habanos, right? So there weren't a lot of choices back 2010 to 2012. Now there's a lot more choices, and I do know a lot of 60 ring gauge smokers, and they're very particular. And they tend to be a little more brand loyal in a lot of those cases. The 60 ring gauge guys who just like that cigar.
Alex, do you ever smoke a 60 ring gauge? Right?
I enjoy them, but it has to be blended to. It's the same with like Lancero. It's got to be blended to the size. I mean, if you try to take like a Corona Gordo and make it a Gordo, it usually doesn't work. And same going to Lancero. It's got.
I'm not a big guy. Holding a 60 ring gauge is look at that. Yeah. It's like bigger. Look at it.
Oh, I was just grabbing mine. I was just grabbing mine. One of our socialite segments. No, this is like 100 and something.
80.
Yeah, that's like a normal Ape size cigar.
Okay,
now.
I smoked Asylum's 90. Actually, it's going to be coming up for review. That is way too big to smoke.
For reference to a Robusto.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Are you going to smoke that? Can you smoke that on air?
No.
Oh, come on.
I'll say I don't think it's made it into the the category of the the Robustos, Toros, right? Because you look at even Lancero hasn't even got into for our market, for the US market.
6x60 is way surpassed Lanceros in my opinion.
Right, so it surpassed it, but I wouldn't put it in that category because we've even said I don't 60s, even 56 starts to get too big. 58, 60
Me
too
too.
big.
54
So I don't
is
think
like
it's in,
for me.
Yeah, in your wheelhouse when you're ordering, you'll order it because there's a market for it. People will buy it and it sells for that customer. But I don't think it's in the.
But what I'm trying
spot.
to say is it's becoming a more staple size in new releases and new lines.
More acceptable.
Lines that didn't have it. It's starting to float toward to this is a staple production size. I'm starting to see it.
If
look at.
Go ahead, Oliver.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, look at the Robusto you smoked today, the Bandolero. That's a Robusto 5x50. But everyone looks at that. If now I don't want to say necessarily today's market, but today's smoker, if you looked at that and showed that to someone and say, "Hey, is this a Robusto?" I think a lot of people would just say, "No, that's too small. That looks like a Corona."
Because they're so used to seeing something so big.
Right, right.
I'm with Alex. 54 and under. That 50 is right around.
I like. Here's what I think.
Are you talking about your height or cigar?
I'm a small guy. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm about our age.
5'7" on a good day.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of manufacturers do it, but when you take a 60 and if you taper the head, so it has that's a pretty good smoke. And I've seen a few people do it where it doesn't feel like you're smoking the 60, but you can kind of get all the nuances of the fillers, which are sometimes very good. And I've seen a few companies do it, but not a lot.
I could handle that, I guess, if it's tapered down to a smaller size.
Yeah.
Anything else you got going on, Coop?
That's it.
Well,
Coop.
thank you for your news this week. Oh,
Coop,
sorry.
nothing else? Nothing else?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I did. How can I forget that?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I gotta go.
Yeah, I did. It actually just didn't make it in my notes here, but that's because it was a little chaotic yesterday, The Wise Man Maduro, which I think was one of the most successful cigars launched by Foundation Cigar Company. Last year, United Cigar released it in the 3.5x50 Firecracker. And next week, that cigar is coming back for another run.
Right, re-releasing.
Yep, which I'm hoping to get my hands on this time, by the way. I haven't smoked that one, but I'm hoping,
Huh.
Yes.
Maybe you know some people.
We'll be talking. Yeah, but no, when Wise Man Maduro came out in like 2017 and you do the end of the year list, that was the one that won Half Wheel's consensus. But I'm telling you, that cigar was on everyone's list, that blend that year.
Yeah.
And what's
Wise
cool
Man
about
Maduro, it's a great cigar.
Yeah. What's cool about the Firecracker is you get it in a rounded format as opposed to that's a box press line, but the Firecracker is unique in that it is a rounded format. So, I mean, you guys have taken the Firecracker and you've done a great job at making that like a national limited release for a lot of retailers.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Bandolero one, I smoked the Bandolero one recently. It's unbelievable. Off the charts.
Yeah. Again, Bandolero, that Firecracker had a year to 2 years of aging.
Yeah.
And when we received it, I think in January. We didn't release it until June. It just continued to age because Nelson uses a strip of cedar inside the box as well. So phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. So I was glad to see that come back for another run on that. And there's like 1,000 boxes you guys have it at, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for more information, keep up with news, visit cigar-coop.com. Always bringing you update news, teaser, and rumor free. We got about 6 minutes to finish up 2 segments. So let's take it right into Tail of Tape Season 5.
All right. Here we go. Tail of Tape Season 5. We are on number 7. Let's take it from the top. Abe, go ahead.
Yeah, let's keep it quick. Obviously, this guy, I believe, has got to be on almost everybody's top 10 list. Hannibal Lecter.
I love your pick.
You want to talk about a bone-chilling. And listen, it's funny because this movie kind of technically has 2 really good villains because, Buffalo Bill.
Totally.
He was his eerie, but this guy epitomizes intelligence, eeriness, bone-chilling scariness. I mean, this guy has to be in everybody's top 10. Mine's Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs.
Not multiple MIGs in the next cell. Not multiple MIGs in the next cell.
No, right?
Take
it away, Paul.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it was a good pick.
And the one we're always waiting for. Unmute yourself.
I'm going. All right. So my pick this week is the Evil Queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Alex chose to pick her beautiful form, but of course she turns into the ragged old lady that feeds Snow White the poison apple.
There we go. All right, my pick coming in at number 7 is John Doe from the movie 7. Great character. One of the few villains who actually technically won, really got to fulfill his mission in the iconic What's in the Box scene where he got Officer David Mills to actually shoot him in the head, which is what he wanted.
He was borderline for me, and only because he really wasn't physically in the movie.
For like half the movie, yeah.
Right, for a short period of time. I contemplated him. He was on my contemplation list. Coop.
All right. I'm going to probably take crap for Abe on this one, but
pretty much.
Damien Thorne from Damien and Omen 2.
I like this one.
Oh.
This if you follow the Omen trilogy, this was the second movie, and this is where Damien kind of finds out who he is. And I just think like the best child villain role. That was my favorite of the trilogy movies, by the way, was the second. Damien Thorne.
That's not that bad of a pick. I just steered away from that genre as a whole, but he was freaky.
I was debating not including it, but he just really was a villain, and he just had that evilness to it that, like he was much more evil than the Evil Queen. I mean,
I like that. And I think that was right around the time that Computer Pop came out, didn't it? Or Computer, what was that song?
Computer Love.
Look, I'm a
Computer
music
Love,
guy.
Computer
I heard a song. I didn't get that one.
That was unfair.
I gotta. That was a hard one. Yeah.
All right.
It can't always be classic rock.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard, the boards there. Yeah, so
Seven
far
is not on there because our dear graphic designer who made the image did not put it where it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Paul, I think next segment we do with these, there's got to be a Disney cap or something that we have.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Coop, you don't know what my picks are. Maybe that's all I did for Disney.
Shocker.
Jafar still hasn't come up yet.
I don't want to mess up the list. Can I throw? Because I've listened to a few of the shows. I always wanted to jump on one.
Sure.
But Billy Zane from Dead Calm.
Good one.
Well, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like just like the personality changes, and he was just that eerie, creepy,
respectable. Billy Zane's just kind of creepy anyway. If you look at all his roles, he's a good actor, but when I look at Billy Zane, I just kind of think he's kind of creepy in real life. He's probably one of these eccentric, I could be dead wrong.
For sure.
I know nothing for a fact, but that's the vibe I get from watching him.
He was great. He was great in Zoolander.
Yeah, right. So, in traditional fashion, we like to close every show with our special featured segment from the fine folks over at Gurkha Cigars. We have 3 questions for you before you exit the show, Oliver. We're going to ask you right now, would you rather? All right. Brought to you by the fine folks over at Gurkha Cigars. I have 3 questions for you, and you're just going to tell us which way you're going to go. First question for you, Oliver. Would you rather spend, you have to have the right guest to ask this question. Would you rather spend the rest of your life bald or the rest of your life without eyebrows?
I'd go bald.
Yeah.
Bald where? Top?
Yeah, top. It ain't that bad.
Oh, top, right.
Yeah.
Bald.
Yeah, I'd go bald.
Number 2, would you rather that Backwoods be the only cigar you could ever smoke or White Castle the only hamburger you could ever eat?
No, Jesus. No,
Alex looks good. Alex is like,
wow.
Look at his face.
Deep thought.
Yeah.
I'd go White Castle.
Yeah,
White
you're just gonna be sick the rest of your life. But I love White Castle.
But you can't eat other food. It just means that
exactly
if you're gonna have a hamburger, that's the only hamburger you'll ever have for the
Gotta be a White Castle.
Alex, you look a little perturbed. Is that a harder call for you?
No way. I mean, I'm not. If it's Backwoods, that's it. I'm done smoking. I mean, White Castle, I can deal with.
Yeah, there are always tacos.
They're always
right.
Okay, and in tribute to this week's activities and being creative as I am, would you rather be gifted an NFT that someone paid $90,000 for, or receive $5,000 cash?
I'll go NFT.
Really?
Yeah, because that's an unknown. That could go to millions. Of 5,000 is going to be 5,000.
I'm curious on this one. Coop?
I would definitely go to NFT because even if I flip it the next day, I mean, I could probably, even if I flipped it for 1/10 of that, I'd still have more money than the 5,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think that one through. Should have made the cash number a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with the NFT for sure.
Because you have to know there'd be another buyer. Yeah, that wasn't a good question. My faux pas, but thank you for playing Would You Rather, Oliver Nivaud. Thank you for coming on KMA Radio.
Yeah.
Awesome having you.
Thank you.
Coop, as always, thank you for your contribution, keeping us
Thank you, guys.
with what's going on in the industry. We hope we entertained you guys all this Saturday morning, made you laugh, maybe taught you a few things. Catch us next Saturday. Oops. As we have Kurt Kendall. This is a redo.
Oh, nice.
I think something happened technical. Paul got sick while I was gone. So we're having Kurt Kendall from 724 Cigars. Other than that, everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Keep it lit.